the Romans, canons, dogma. Truth is the primary thing. And you know what happens to discipleship? It's lost. It's lost. Now, when I read the New Testament, clearly the guy in that story is not pro-rich. Clearly the guy in that story is not pro-war. You cannot love your enemies and kill them too. That's as plain as the day is different from the night. But when you don't follow him and you make dogmas to follow him, then your life is up for grabs for anyone who happens to be the rich, the winners of war, an empire. You can call it Western civilization too. It's all part of it. All that being said, if we didn't practice Christ well in the last 2,000 years, why do I think we need him now? Now this is it. I believe Jesus is more important now than he ever was 2,000 years ago. Because the man died a loser with losers 2,000 years ago. It's hard for us to hear that. Our American sense of winning and being big is so dominant. This guy was a real loser in the world. But he was, if we believe in him, what God looks like in human form. The highest mark we can hit as human beings. And his ethic, this is the killer, his ethic was a universal love for everybody. You know why I think that's really important today? Because our science is telling us, if you're going to make it in this world, you're going to have to make it with everybody. Stop destroying species. Stop destroying the planet. Every act you make has something to do with surviving. You're connected. It's like when I say us and the cockroaches are brothers and sisters. I mean, how big is the universe? How big are we living on this planet? Like a 50-mile what? Around a big rock? How many cockroaches can there be out there? We are closest to the cockroaches than we are to anything out there beyond our planet. And yet we treat the cockroaches and the planet like dirt. God gave us a head for a reason. And Jesus gives us a universal way to act. That every life is precious. And now I know I'm a modern person. Now I know life in every form is precious. And we're out to kill it. And we have to change our behavior. It's our problem, not the universe. And the guy, Jesus, who's the best humans can be, amplifying, this is what God wants you to look like, gives us a playbook. And it's not, you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to be smart. It's about love. And, you know, I could talk a lot longer, but I would like to answer questions. Did I say anything that provoked a thought, a question? All right, all right. All right, can someone give me a hint where you want me to go? Because I'll keep talking. All right? All right, yes.
What are some steps that we can actually take to start bettering ourselves to follow Jesus more how we should?
All right, I've been in this Catholic Worker movement for 47, 48 years. I'm more convinced than ever that the first thing you need to do if you're going to follow Jesus in this country is figure out your lifestyle. Figure out your lifestyle. I advocate figure out how to live below the poverty line in collectives. Go beyond the nuclear family. I mean, this is what I'm trying to tell you. If you automatically say, I want a real job in this economy, teacher, nurse, whatever, then you're going to have a real apartment, they're going to have a real job, and they're going to be tied into the system, and it's a rat race. I'm suggesting learn now how to live below the poverty line. I recommend get into collectives. You know, I mean, one minimum wage job salary can't sustain a household, but maybe 4 can, and start a shelter and start serving the poor. Really important, start serving the poor. Matthew 25, you know, feed the hungry, or go to hell. That's really what it is. The rich young man, chapter 10 in Mark, and it's repeated in Luke and Matthew, where rich young man comes up to Jesus. You're so good. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. What else can I do to follow you? Give everything you have to the poor and come follow me. And what happened to the guy? He went away. He had too many possessions. That's us. We got so many possessions. So I recommend to try to learn to live in one room in a collective. If you want to have babies and raise a kid, do that also in a collective. Figure out a way in which you can lean against the dominant culture of the nuclear family that spend, and just take care of yourself. Did that help answer the question? But if you're not going to do that tomorrow, somehow cover the distance between you and the poor. Somehow, if you're not serving the poor, or you don't have to do it, don't even go to it. Somehow, if you're not visiting someone in the nursing home, I mean, the works for mercy are big, and you can't practice them by writing a check. However, if you would like to donate to the Catholic Worker, we would gladly take it. We beg. Learn to beg. Beg for the poor and live below the poverty line. That's something you can do. And it gives you a place, a perspective to see the world soberly. In a country amidst with a tsunami of drugs. And the biggest drug is power, wealth, and empire. Oh, okay.
It probably says in your bio, but do you have a congregation?
I did. I resigned as a priest, and if I have a congregation, it's we do a prayer thing at our place, and we have a Eucharist in the Saturday, but it's only 4 or 5 of us. But we're open to people, anyone who would come, they'd be more than welcome. Yeah, it's a sort of a Eucharist. You know, my church is in such bad shape. The Catholic Church. It's sexist. It's just totally blind on wealth, war, and empire. All this thing about, Christian nationalism. You hear that? That's up there. You hear that? Well, man, we were doing Christian nationalism in the 1950s. I was brought up to say rosaries for the conversion of the Russians. What are you talking about, Christian nationalism? That's Catholic nationalism. And we were doing it in the 1950s, before the evangelists got into the act. Oh, sorry. However, the Episcopalians are no better. The Presbyterians, they're not much better. And the evangelicals, they found politics and become Republicans. They're terrible. Christianity is in the toilet in America because we put the face of Caesar on Jesus, and we think we're following him. Biggest crimes. Oh, go ahead. Oh, Eddie. Yeah.
What about how in the world did in the New Testament, when Christ was in the early 30 ADs.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world did he make it? How was he able to survive? And they were poor as church mice then.
Well, we knew he survived only, nothing directly from him, because the next generation of people wrote about him. And they wrote about him as in a Jewish context. Jesus is Jewish. And this book was written in a Jewish context. Yeah. And you're asking how did he survive?
Well, in Luke 8:1, it says that his followers, the women followers, they help support the
Well,
movement.
look, and he sits out on my Bible stuff, so he knows that I know St. Luke's gospel is the best one on women. Absolutely knocks it out of the ballpark. And without Luke's gospel, we'd know very little about Mary, and that Magnificat, that radical prayer of hers. And Luke's gospel, when Jesus names the apostles at one place, you're going to love this. Then he names a bunch of women who were following him. One of them, Herod's head, the wife of the head steward of Herod. It's like the second man in command in Judea. Like, well,